So this would be a very good, when you get this, you'll see what the pre-activities, before you bring students here, you could give them some labs where they draw their own correlations by looking at these items. When you come here, obviously there's so much in the whole museum, but if you come just to the section for human evolution, you can have them write about how they think they've gone from items like this. You know, how do you get where you just, this is the actual fossils, and when you hear the lecture, you'll be, there's you know, over 200 skulls of Australopithecus afarensis, and there's some are very complete, even baby ones, male, female, all the rest of it. This was, a lot of students, they go, come on, this is all they had, and they came up with all this, and it's like, no, this isn't, this is the groundbreaker right here. Since then, like I said, over 200 individuals have been determined, and some of them are very complete. But how do they go, you don't have to tell them that right off the bat. How do you go from having something like this to something like this? A lot of work. Specialists, all types of specialists, from forensic specialists, from Dr. Martin here at the Field Museum, to artistic specialists. The lady who made this was a French theater. She's famous in France for making costumes and masks and the rest of it. She used yak hair to put this together because she wanted it to be so authentic that it looked, you know, just like you could just touch her and be like, she's a lot, she moves, it scares you. So there's a lot of science involved here, and it's not just, and they can drop names too, in case you were going to wonder. A lot of science is involved, and have the kids think about, well, what is the science, before you tell them, before they see this, what is the science involved in taking these observations and coming up with some type of clarification? When they come up here, with the labs that I gave you there, you'll see a lot about correlations between the hands and the hips and the skulls in general, doing comparisons. So they can draw that. We have 3 skulls here, or if you have more skulls at your school, well, now you have a nice extension where you have even more skulls. You have a whole case full of skulls here. How can they draw these correlations across the board? Or what do they see from the skulls that they had? You can bring these with you if you want to have them do some type of hands-on you know, expression where they can just feel this and see where these correlations come together, where the bones come over. And with the tools, in the guides that you're getting tonight, it has a whole activity that you do here about understanding what the tools are all about, what the importance of the shapes, what's represented by each of these tools. And they can read this here, they can correlate it here. As I was talking before about the dawning, sometimes people, they like to come around and they go right around here, and they miss these skulls right here for earlier ancestors, these common ancestors between the chimps and the gorillas and the Australopithecus afarensis. They have some descriptions here so they can learn about apes and some of these early ancestors between apes and hominids. They can learn more about the family tree here. They can watch the video. These are all activities they can do here. Now, once you go back to the classroom, you can have them form all types of discussions. Oh, there's some nice footprints here. This is a nice pre-activity, is they could make some handprints. Younger children or older ones like to do it too, that command questions. They can make some footprints, some handprints, and then they can come here and they can analyze their footprints. And they can come here and they can come down. It's a little bit dirty, but they can make rubbings on paper. They can kind of feel the footprints of this cast of the early.
Is this a replica from Lightolia?
Yes, it is. It is a replica, and some of the things you can see here was they had 2 people side by side, or I'll say 2 hominids side by side. But the thought is, if you look at this, the smudging in here of toes is that there were 3. 2 were side by side, and then a 3rd one came by and saw the footprints. You ever do that in snow? And decided they wanted to walk right in the footprints of the one in front of them. So they, you know, a lot of anthropologists had this idea. They're like, wow, you know, animals just run around. But somebody there was playing it. Not only were they, you know, evolving to stand upright. But they had curiosity and they wanted to play games and they were kind of paying attention, observing the world around them as they went through it. So you could see if they could determine this through rubbings, if they could determine toes here, toes here. If they could see that. But yeah, this is a replica of that.
So how would you prepare students who are seriously creationists?
Students who are serious.
Oh,
How would you prepare those? I have a book. I used to teach in Alabama. I taught in Selma, Alabama, and I taught Birmingham, Alabama in the city schools. And they were serious creations. You know, we had 5 to 20. A lot of students will either close their mind. I have a video online of how I come into a classroom and how I approach this. The first thing is get over the word evolution. You know, what is the word evolution? Ask them what they feel about the word. What does it mean? Change taking place. Well, is evolution a bad word? Because that's what the state's telling us. They don't want to use evolution in our state goals, right? You go and look at the state goals. You'll see natural selection, you'll see change over time, but you won't see a word, evolution. It's not in there. The reason why it's not in there is because so many people get upset, even though we have the processes in the state goals. They get upset over that word, evolution. So that's where your first thing is, you have to get over that hurdle of what is the problem with the word evolution? Do people see change in their neighborhoods? Do people see change outside in the fields? Do they see change around them? If you talk about evolution and have kids understand that evolution is all around us and that they see it, and when they understand that they see evolution and they're seeing it on TV, they're seeing it on the news, they're seeing it in their neighborhoods, then kids are a little more open-minded as to looking at the skulls and thinking of them as ancient species. Right? Like I said to begin with, a lot of kids, like you say, if they start, the creationist or someone with a closed mind might start and say, there's no way you can tell me that this right here is this right here. So you have to lead them into what science is suggesting by finding fossils and reassembling them in a certain way, using a scientific method. And a lot of times they see this on the TV with their forensic science shows. They see these things happening and they accept it. You know, Maury Povich, DNA. Hey, everybody's happy about Maury. You tell me that a chimpanzee has 98% the same genes as us, and kids shut down. But Maury Povich can do anything he wants when he talks about DNA evidence, right?
I just want to add to Brennan, like this here is a perfect example of, I think, why in so many of our schools, this is what we think about, right? And it's a great visual because I think that just that alone, that's what we think about initially when we talk about evolution. But we really don't talk about the complexities of these family trees and how extensive they really are. And really, I think one of the other key points that I want to make, in any one of our exhibitions, right, we're a scientific research institution. So it's about the evidence, you know, and it's about the investigation.
And
I
the
think
plan is a state goal.
Yeah, and I think that's really important when we talk about the nature of science, is that, you know, what we knew yesterday is not necessarily what we're going to know today or what we're going to think we know tomorrow. And just that process for our students to really be able to comprehend that it's constantly changing. And it's changing over time, and it's changing in very small ways.